Welcome to Creative Piecemeal Podcast, a podcast for creatives. I'm your host, Tammy Takeishi. Join me for compelling conversations with artists, actors, authors, musicians, and other creatives about the impact of the creative and fine arts in their lives and our ever-changing world. Thank you for listening. Hello, welcome to Creative Piecemeal Podcast. Today I'm joined by glam pop rock duo Royal Sugar. I'm really excited about this band because they recently broke out and they do a mix of 70s and 80s, sort of like that's their style. They infuse it into their original compositions and they also do awesome covers, including Harry Styles' Medicine. So if you haven't had a chance to check them out on social media, especially TikTok, you definitely have to. They're amazing. I have been listening to their song Fleeting Love over and over again for a long time. So I'm really excited to see what this band is going to be coming up with. They recently joined together over the pandemic, but they've been friends for years. So I can't wait to dig in and ask you guys all sorts of questions. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Tammy.
You're welcome. So usually I start off the show asking people who or what inspired you to become a musician. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. You can't see my room, but there's a lot of Jim Morrison stuff around here. Jim Morrison's definitely a huge inspiration for me. Songwriting wise, freedom of expression wise, I was always very drawn to that. As a young kid, so he kind of stuck with me. I would say Uncle Jim.
Yeah, I think for me it was kind of an interesting story. In the neighborhood that I grew up in, my family didn't have a ton of like people that were musicians, or the idea of a music career in Florida is pretty abstract. And this guy moved into my neighborhood that played in this like old 80s rock band, and now he was like kind of just gigging around, and he'd fully had a career playing music. And he was the first person that kind of put a guitar in my hand, put me on stage, and I just fully fell in love with music and performing, and through that opened a lot of like influences into classic rock. And so yeah, kind of was fortunate that somebody came into my life at a younger age and was like, hey, get up there. Yeah. Play, have fun with it.
That's fantastic. If you guys were to wake up and be able to play any instrument in the world, not just the ones you guys already do, what would that be? What's your sort of other dream instrument?
Oh,
definitely piano. G can play piano. That's something that's always bewildered me. Like I've tried to play it. I've tried to sit down and play it, and I can't do it for the life of me. And I love watching people play piano. It's like one of my things. So yeah, probably piano.
I think for me, it'd probably be like saxophone.
Oh yeah.
I think it's such a beautiful instrument and super versatile.
We could use that.
So cool to just like
seriously
wake up tomorrow and be an amazing sax player.
Yeah, you better actually, because I have a song idea.
There you go. Yeah, no, those are all really great instruments and also very difficult to play for sure.
Yeah.
So one of your influences, of course, 70s and 80s rock. AC/DC, one of my personal favorite bands. If you had to pick your favorite AC/DC album, what would that be?
Oh, I really love Powerage. I was super drawn because I didn't even know that there was a Brian Johnson AC/DC until I was a little older. As a young kid, I was just picking up all the Bon Scott era records. And yeah, I was just so drawn to that sound. Specifically Bon's sound. I love Brian, but I love the Bon Scott era Powerage. That's why I have an SG too, Angus.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, my dad introduced me to AC/DC at a super young age, and I was just really drawn to that. Yeah, older stuff.
AC/DC when I first got my iPod in like 5th grade, Back in Black was the first thing that I had ever heard.
Yeah,
and I was at that age where music was starting to become like very kind of important to me. And I remember hearing that record for the first time, and I'd never heard AC/DC up until that
Oh,
point.
it'll change.
And I was
you.
just like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Honestly, like I would say that the best tones on honestly, any record
any
tops
rock
like
record,
is Back in Black. They're just unreal.
That's actually the first album of theirs that I remember hearing as well as Back in Black.
Yeah.
Such a classic.
Yeah, it's such a
is.
classic. It's one everyone knows, but I feel like it's one of those records that nearly everyone you talk to can remember the first time they heard it.
For sure. Sticks around.
Yes. So we're going to dig more into you guys and your history. You guys have been friends for many, many years, but you didn't decide to get together officially as a group until during the pandemic. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like some challenges and some surprises that came from that?
Yeah, we've been friends for nearing on 10 years now. And honestly, the first night we met, we sang together, and it's been the same feeling ever since. I was just like, I want to be around this voice. I'm gonna lock him down. And we've been writing and gigging and doing other projects since then. But when the pandemic hit, we had to split up, unfortunately, for a little. We were taking a break. We were on a break. Ross and Rachel.
A forced break.
Yeah. I have an immune disorder. So like during the pandemic, I had to move back to Florida. We're in Nashville for a little over 2 years. So we had to do the Zoom thing, do the FaceTime thing, and write. And we were just honestly forced to just sit in the silence for a little bit, and it reinvigorated us. We felt like kids again. We're like, what do we want to do? Like, let's distill it. And we'd always wanted to create and, mold a glam rock band, just a fun, flashy, energetic band. And that's the songs we had been writing over the pandemic. So when I got back to Nashville, we were like, let's just do it. Let's pick a name. Somehow Royal Sugar was available. We're still bewildered by that. Sounds like a band that should have existed, but upon closer investigation, never did. So yeah, when we got back, we just started writing it and putting it together.
Yeah, it was kind of like we had this clean slate after COVID, because for years we were always kind of adapting and evolving and picking up members, losing members, changing our sound, writing with different people, recording with different people. And so it got to a point where with the last project, we were like, do we even know what we are anymore? Is there any intentionality behind this?
Right.
And so Royal Sugar was this opportunity for us to just like, let's break it all down to just the foundation. And what do we want it to feel like? Like, what would we love to do? What would we love to create right now? And it kind of birthed this whole concept.
That's excellent. It's wonderful that there's something positive that came out of such a really historic time in people's lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a lot of positive things, but
at
least we had the time to sit in silence.
Right.
Come out with something like this.
Yeah, understandable. Yeah, I started my podcast during the pandemic, and I was like, well, okay, better now than never.
Absolutely.
Right.
This is going to be sort of a trickier question, but what are your favorite and least favorite parts of the creative process?
Ooh, favorite, all of it but one. The one is the I obsess over it too much. Like if you were to just give me unlimited amounts of time, we would never release music. I'd just be like, no, it's one more little thing. Like, I'm obsessed with every part of it. It's therapy. It's necessary. I just feel like myself when I'm doing that, and expressing myself through music. But I am kind of a perfectionist, so I'll go back and just work on a song until Garrett or Amanda's like, all right, we gotta release this, man. So yeah, I would say the least favorite part is like dealing with the perfectionist in me and kind of letting that go. But honestly, COVID helped with that too. Like we're a little more throwing things at the wall now.
Yeah. I think for me, the least favorite part would be either the feeling you have after you spend so much time on something and you're like, I think I might love this. Yeah. And then you walk away for a couple hours or you go to sleep and then you come back and you're like, oh, this is absolute shit.
Yeah.
It's the worst feeling.
Yeah.
That or the feeling that, or just the patience that it requires to kind of wait for it to come to you. Sometimes being a creative isn't as simple as like showing up and punching in. There's so much external forces that have to come into play for you to really feel it and for it to really be authentic. But my favorite part is kind of what Ty was saying. Every part of it, when you get into that flow state and that rhythm, and you're chasing this thing, and it's moving and it's working, it's the most amazing feeling, the most present in the moment you could ever feel.
It feels like, you know, what's the like Finding Nemo movie where they're in that? I don't think I've ever used this analogy, but
the turtles.
Yeah, the what's that called? The current. Yeah, it feels like you're like stepping into the current. Like all these things have to align for the current to exist and for you to jump into it. But when you're in the current, you're good.
It's just us and a couple surfing turtles.
Yeah.
I love that. You know, that's such a great analogy though, because it is a little bit scary to jump into that. But then once it's like a wild ride when you're sort of in the flow.
Right. Totally.
So sort of related to that is, what is one of your guys' favorite song lyrics so far? Either something you've written or something that maybe you've carried with you from another group.
Oh, man.
I've never even thought about this. These are great questions. This is incredible.
Oh, thank you.
I'll let you go for a second.
Oh, man. I feel like it's really hard for me to have anything that like is a one favorite or something that's stuck with me. I try every day to, whatever I'm listening to, have like one line or a phrase that I'm pulling out of it and thinking about, whether it's something that I'm just like, that's a really good lyric, or whether it's something that relates to me or I feel is profound. But this morning I was listening to the new Maggie Rogers record. The song is Anywhere With You. And one of the lines that stood out to me this morning is, if I'm going to lose my mind, I'm going to lose it with you. And I think the delivery of what she was saying and how she led up to that part of the song, I thought was just so creative and amazing. And I just love that concept. It's like total just connection. And if I'm going down, I'll go down with you. Like, yeah, it's a kind of profound thing to say.
For sure.
So yeah, that was my morning like lyric that popped out at me and was burned into my brain.
So our lyrics, or
both. Yep.
Both. Yeah. I guess a Fleeting Love lyric. Yeah, like it's similar to what you're saying about the Maggie Rogers thing. It's like, if I want to go down, I want to go down with you. That's kind of our sentiment behind that song, and we can talk about that more. But like I'm tired of making love feel like catching a buzz.
Yeah.
Struggle, it kills, but hit like a drug. Like the push and pull of like a toxic relationship, whether that's with a friendship, a lover, a thing,
a drug.
Yeah. I think that's the most recent lyric where I'm like, okay, cool. I don't mind singing that. Without the voice cracks.
It's a very real kind of thing, that direct analogy. When you read that line, I think it's something that everyone has felt in some context.
That's excellent. Yeah, I was going to say, back to your guys' music, not only is it infectious melodies and really awesome guitar driving, but the lyrics are so like authentic. You know, you can tell you guys sat down and wrote them, not like a team of 20 people, you know?
Right. Thank you. Yeah. We, it's always been super like telekinetic for us to write. Even from like the first night I met him, it was just, I think there's a lot of like ego in songwriting. You said that before.
Mm-hmm.
We've never felt that with each other. We felt it with other people we've written with, and it's super easy to be vulnerable with him. And like, we've gone through similar life experiences. So like, especially with this song, it was a cathartic experience, not only to write it, but to write it with him and to be able to release it and see so many people connect with it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
If you're able to sort of give away a sneak peek of what's coming in 2023, are you guys planning lots of big stuff, or you just been busy songwriting, or what's going on?
Yeah, kind of all the above. This year was so much time kind of spent on doing a lot of like legwork and stuff behind the scenes, spent a ton of time in the studios and writing and rehearsing. So next year is kind of our opportunity to start showcasing all of these things and all of the time that this year has required for us to invest in.
Yeah.
In kind of doing the stuff that nobody sees, you know, it's like an artist will release an album every 2 years and people just assume those 2 years
right,
they're
just
on their ass
chilling. Yeah, exactly. Like for us, it was we're just now getting to the point where like I'm able to go play a show because I've been in bubble boy lifestyle. So a lot of people don't know. They're like, you haven't even played a show yet. It's like, well, we've been playing shows for 10 years.
Yeah.
But we had to take a little bit of a break. But it is cool to have that like fresh band, fresh energy where there's new people finding us and they don't know a lot of the backstory. So it's like our initial unveiling of this project. It just feels like we're starting over again as musicians. We've never played a show. Like
the idea that this being our first show is kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
Gosh, we've played every kind of show imaginable.
Yeah.
Some of the worst shows you could ever write out on paper, and some of the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a big focus of ours is this next year kind of showcasing what Royal Sugar Live is going to feel like and look like and taste like. We've spent a ton of time putting this live band together and rehearsing and kind of getting it all mapped out. So early next year, we're super stoked to kind of get back on the live circuit.
Yeah.
Start touring, playing some shows.
Excellent. A couple more questions for you. One is, what is a piece of advice either about life or music that you guys ignore, and one that you always follow?
Ignore. I don't know if like the balance of it. I don't think anyone quite gets how to balance, I mean, I wouldn't say workaholics, but like creative where we're just like, we turn that and it is our work and we're just like dive into it. And sometimes we don't come up for air when we should. So I'd say that's one thing we ignore. And then one thing that I think just listening to that call in you when it does come to write a song and not trying to force it. I think all the songs that we've sat down and been like, oh, we got to write a song today. They're not in our catalog and we don't play them live. Like it means something when it's coming through you and it has to come out of you. And I think listening to that call is extremely important.
Yeah, I think similar to what Ty was saying, kind of just being like overconsumed with progress and working and moving forward at times. I definitely relate to everyone talks about having balance and in your life and having a good healthy amount of each kind of tier of your life being in line. But for me, it's like balls to the wall on everything. If I'm doing something, if I'm doing something, if I'm involved in it, like I can't help but turn it all the way up to 11.
Yeah.
It's something that is good advice and I ought to be taking that advice, but it's certainly something that I struggle with. I have like a very kind of infatuation personality to where if I'm into something, I'm like fully into it.
Yeah.
And so that is the advice that I always ignore.
That's good though, because I mean, some people in bands would kill for a member, like a partner that is just like obsessed with the process. I'd take that any day. Yeah.
And then the advice I always take is probably just to, that every day of your 20s is supposed to be a time of discovery and enjoyment and a little bit of like fear and anxiousness. Like all of the things, that is what this decade of your life is supposed to be. And so I think that's something that every day I try and think about. And just accept that wherever I'm at or where I end up, like that is exactly the purpose of this time of my life.
Mm-hmm. It's very zen. It's very non-dual. You
you
got it embedded. You don't need to work at it. Yeah.
It's in my soul.
Yes, that's great. And, it is wonderful, though, even though you guys feel that it's a negative, being passionate about what you do is so important. And of course, balance is when you're excited about a project, it's harder to find balance. You just want to go right in there,
Exactly.
Damn near impossible.
Yeah.
It is. Very true. A couple more questions for you. One is, what is your favorite after concert, after show meal?
Oh man,
that's
all of
so
these questions.
Good. Oh my god, man. Yeah, interesting about us on show days is we don't eat until after the show. So
Mhm.
every after show meal is just
So
a
special.
feast.
It
Yeah.
is the best moment of the
It's
entire
like
day.
all the fitness gurus are like intermittent fasting. It's like, what is that? We just eat after the show. Yeah, I would say I'm gluten and dairy free, so it's hard on the road to find certain things. But if there's like somehow a gluten and dairy free pizza place that's delivering at 2 a.m., I'll go for that. But yeah, if not, little room service, little
room service can be
club
nice.
sandwich, gluten-free bread.
Or if it's also very dependent on what town we're in or where in town we're playing. So if we can sneak off to like a great restaurant, that is ideal. Something that's coursed out. We get a nice bottle of wine, couple cocktails.
Aiolis.
An
aioli flight
are a prerequisite.
Yeah.
But honestly, some of the most fun like post-show meals I've had have just been street vendors in different cities, going to like, a little taco truck and getting the great al pastor tacos, or getting like go into like a Euro cart and getting a Greek, like kind of Mediterranean, saucy, messy Euro is amazing.
Feast.
So yeah, I think it's definitely dependent on where we're at, but
definitely massive though.
Yeah.
Making up for all the hours of just nervous energy.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic though. So.
Yeah.
Definitely a perk of tour life, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, one final question for you guys. In your own words, what does living a creative life mean to you?
I would say similar to what we were talking about, like listening to that call. It was just, for me, it just feels like listening to my younger self.
Dude,
like
that's crazy.
Were you thinking that?
Literally thinking that. It's about to say the exact
Oh my God. Yeah, like I picture myself at like 9 or 10 years old, and like just the fact that we're able to do this, like just keep feeding that part of you, like keep feeding that 9-year-old Garrett or that 9-year-old Tammy or that 9-year-old Tyler, like the like that same passion in the pit of your stomach that you had when you were a kid is the same one I still feel now. So listening to that and following that until the road ends.
Yeah. A creative life is the willingness to go to what calls you, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Thanks. You smell good today, by the way. He smells really good. It doesn't translate, but smell amazing. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Royal Sugar, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome. Listeners, please check the show notes for links for their bios, upcoming tour dates, where you can find them on social media, and listening to their awesome recordings. As always, thanks for listening. Hi, this is Tammy with Creative Piecemeal Podcast, and you have to check out Corey's My Acting Life, a daily planner. It's a 12-week, undated daily planner specifically designed to help multi-passionate actors and creatives like you and me. The planner's filled with pages and spreads to help you gain clarity on your goals, find focus within your creative life, and determine the next best steps to achieve the life of your dreams. When you purchase this planner, you get access to the accompanying free training videos that walk you through how to get the most out of each of these pages. It actually guides you through the exact process that Corey uses with her private coaching clients. So take this as an opportunity to choose yourself and start living the creative life of your dreams. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Like the show? Have a question? Stop by the Facebook and Instagram pages. Links are in the show notes, or search for Creative Piecemeal Podcast on social media and click follow for all the latest.